Hey guys, this is Shell from the Vapor Bar. I'm going to preface this by saying please excuse the way I look. We've been out at soccer games all morning and it started raining and it was just a lovely hair day. So you don't care what I look like, just what I got to say. So that's great. Wanted to come on here and talk to you about diacetyl and acetyl propionyl. There's been a lot of things going around. A lot of people are talking about us, and for that matter, I really want to say I really appreciate it and thank you so much, because that really means a lot. It means a lot to know that you guys are trusting us, and I appreciate that. So diacetyl acetyl propionyl, studies found that there is a link between it and popcorn lung, especially in the popcorn factories. So diacetyl is actually the chemical that they were using for buttery flavoring, very high concentrations for the buttery flavoring, and they were saying that the workers, when they were inhaling it, were getting popcorn lung. But they were also getting just various different bronchial issues. So it's not just the popcorn lung, and I know that we're really hyper focusing on this popcorn lung, but I want to broaden this perspective a little bit and make you understand that it can be a lot of bronchial issues. And as a matter of fact, I'll just go ahead and tell you from OSHA. You can go to the OSHA website. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put that on the blog in here. But it basically says the majority of employees diagnosed with bronchiolitis obliterans, and that is the popcorn lung name, has been exposed to mixtures of buttery flavoring. Evaluations of employees working in the plant revealed high rates, so they're not talking about just a few cases, high rates of both respiratory symptoms and abnormal lung function. So you have to kind of go, maybe they didn't have this diagnosis, but they had other issues around and in that environment. So then in 2000, you can go to, I've got another link on there. You can go to News Inferno, and I've got that link. In 2000, the Missouri Department of Health notified NIOSH of 8 possible cases, and that's where the cases are, of popcorn lung in a single popcorn plant. And then in 2000 and 2003, it says that they found a link, NIOSH found a link between diacetyl and popcorn lung among hundreds of workers at 6 different popcorn factories. So it's not just popcorn lung; it's the other issues too, and that's what our concern was that we're seeing this become an irritant, and that's the best way I can describe it. It can become an irritant and leading to a disease or become some type of issue, and it doesn't. I'm not saying that it does. So I'm not a doctor, and I'm not a chemist, and I'm not a scientist, but I'm telling you, based on the facts that people are telling me, that is what it is causing or could be causing, and we need to steer clear of it. So, it would lead you to believe that the best possible scenario is that we just get it out. Now, there's a lot of talk about cigarettes versus electronic cigarettes and liquid and everything. I'm not a scientist. You're not a scientist, and a lot of these people that are kind of talking about this, that we don't know. We don't know. So the best thing is get it out, or that's what I thought. Get it out. I want to make it as good as we can and get it out. So January, let's tell you what we started doing. January, we took all of our raw flavorings and we threw them to our lab. Prior to that, I will tell you that I did control testing on several different labs, and that involves a long process. But I did control testing on several different labs, and I chose this lab specifically because they were very consistent. They were FDA registered, and they had a long list of great supporters in that type of testing. So that was really big for me. I have a medical background and have been in the medical field for about 15 years. So that was very particular thing for me to do, to choose a lab, and important for the right kind of testing to come out. So we sent all the raw flavorings to the lab and said, let's test these at I think we did 0.1 ppm. Okay, so it's below 1 ppm. And we did, and we got those results back and went, oh, okay. So it's in this raw flavoring, and we started based upon those results. We did two things. Number one, we reformulated a lot of our recipes based on the ones that tested good versus the ones that tested bad. And then on the ones that tested bad, threw those off to the side and brought in substitutes. If they weren't too high of a number, we went ahead and continued to use those, yet brought in substitutes to try to alleviate that, because our goal is to go to none detected. So then we sent those substitutes out to the lab, got those totals back, and when we got those back, then we would substitute when needed or toss those away, and on and on. It's a very long process. We've been doing this since January, and when we could reformulate, we absolutely did. So at one point, I said, we got to get a baseline of where we are on our final product. Because remember those raw flavorings, that diacetyl is diluted inside that, and then it's diluted inside the VG, PG, and nicotine. So there's a big area of dilution there that makes it non-existent. So I really wanted to see where we were as far as a testing strategy, as far as raw flavorings go. So I took our entire product line and sent it to the lab and said, okay, let's make sure that all of these that we are saying are the raw flavorings are not showing up, they're actually not showing up in our liquids as well. And brought those back and said, it was wonderful. It was a wonderful news. It was correct and dead on to what we were thinking. We got rid of those that were over 100, and testing out at 100 because it's just too high for me, okay? Just too high. Got rid of those until we can find a substitute, because we weren't successful in finding a substitute. And I'll give you an example of butterscotch. Pulled that off the shelf immediately. The minute we got the results of it, it was gone. I hate that, because I love butterscotch, but it's just not feasible for me to continue to sell that, or at least I can't sleep well at night. So anyway, we went ahead and we left some of them on the shelf that were over 100. But I'm going to tell you, overall, we have 100 that tested clean, based on the less than 5 parts per million. And from what I understand, not a scientist at all, from what I understand, anything that's less than 5 parts per million is subject to contamination or suspect to contamination, and therefore it is not actually in the product, which it's very consistent with what our raw flavoring tested. So we had both of those, and it was great to kind of go back and forth. The next one we've got 100 that are testing good. We've got 17 that we are reformulating still. And what I've done is, those were some really difficult ones to find that were at a baseline of none. So, and bringing in and substituting and everything else. So what we did is, we have those raw flavorings sent to, and remember that flavor could be in 5 different final product flavors. So we sent that flavor off to a manufacturer to be recreated minus diacetyl and acetyl propionyl. Now, I have been told 1,000,000 times by Dr. Farsalinos, by Gene Gilman, all of these people that understand these chemical makeups a little better, much better than me, because they are just much smarter than I am. But I've been told millions of times that the diacetyl and the acetyl propionyl actually have to be added. They're not a component of combustion. They're not a component of heat. That's what I've been told, and that's what I'm led to understand. So it's either in there or it's not. It's either added at the point where they create that flavor, or it's not. So based on that, I look at it and go, okay, so let's have it made. So I sent those flavors to the manufacturer to have them make those flavors, but they have to give me the list of components that's inside that chemical mixture. But I'm still going to send it off to the lab after those are created. They said about 4 weeks. So, and that was, they still have 4 weeks more to go. So, and that was about, I don't know, a couple of days ago. So then we will send those off to the lab just to make sure that, everything's kosher. because they could give me a list of chemicals. I'm not going to know what that is. So I want to send it off and just make sure that we're all on the same page. So so that is the situation that we're in with having the flavors made. Then we have 8 of them that we've completely pulled off the shelf, and may or may not recreate them. Maybe they weren't high sellers, whatever the case may be. But for right now, they're gone, and we will either recreate them or just, put something else in its place. So that is, I take this very seriously just because, I grew up with asthma my whole life. I have kids. I have dogs. I don't know any more than you do what chance I have myself of getting anything like that. And just so you do know, we do have a custard line that we have created that it's showing non-detected completely through 10 of those. And it's a custard or a custard and fruit line mix. We're working on making one that's just a little bit more vanilla and has a little bit more of that vanilla custardy flavor. So we're working on that right now. But this is very important to us because, if you've ever had breathing problems, which like I said, when I was a kid, I would wake up with 10 asthma attacks a night. I had it really bad, and it's not fun. It is not fun. And there is no way that I would want to subject any of our customers, any of our clientele, or anyone for that matter, anyone around them, to that if I can help it. And I can. I can. It is not a slow, it's not a short process. It is a very, very long process. It does take time. So if you have a vendor that you really love and you really support, give them time. You give them time to really go through this, because it is a long, long process. And but you do sleep better at night. You absolutely do, because it makes you feel like you're doing your due diligence, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. That's what we're supposed to be doing. So I hope this answers your questions. Guys, through our contact form, it comes straight to me. So if you have any questions, send me questions in contact form. If I know the answer, I'll answer it. If I don't know, I'll find it. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope this helps explain a little bit more about who we are and what we're doing to fix this problem. And I hope you have a great day.